Try something right now. Knock on the table in front of you. It feels solid, doesn't it? When you look up at the night sky, the universe looks infinite. We are born with this absolute, unshakable belief that what we touch, what we taste, and what we see is a hard, physical reality. But what if it isn't? What if that table is only there because you're looking at it? That sounds like science fiction. Except, it isn't coming from a movie. Some of the top quantum physicists in the world have recently stumbled onto something that shouldn't exist. They didn't just find a weird anomaly. They found actual, error-correcting computer code, embedded deep inside the fundamental equations of the universe. Which means you, me, and all of human history might just be lines of code running on someone else's server. For generations, traditional science has fed us a very specific story. We are taught that the universe is just a random collection of material particles. Things bump into each other. Evolution happens. And human consciousness is just a lucky accident, a byproduct of a biological meat computer. That's the official narrative. It makes sense. It feels safe. But there's a problem. When you actually zoom in, past the cells, past the atoms, down to the quantum level, that materialist story completely falls apart. The universe doesn't behave like a physical object. It behaves exactly like a video game engine, trying to save processing power. To understand how broken our reality is, you have to look at an experiment that has haunted scientists for decades. The Double Slit Experiment. If you fire particles of light, photons, at a wall with 2 slits in it, they do something impossible. When no one is watching, they act like a wave of probabilities. They exist everywhere at once. They have no fixed location. But the second you place a detector there to observe them, they suddenly snap into a single, physical position. They stop being a wave. They become a particle. They literally change their behavior because they know they are being watched. On its own, that detail is a tough pill to swallow. But if you play video games, that concept isn't weird at all. In fact, it's exactly how open-world games are programmed. If your character isn't looking at a street, the street doesn't exist. The game server doesn't waste memory generating a city behind your back. It only renders the graphics, the exact second you turn the camera. Our universe appears to be doing the exact same thing. It keeps matter in a state of suspended probability until a conscious observer forces it to render. Why? Because rendering an entire infinite universe at all times would crash the system. And once you start looking at the universe as a programmed simulation, other rules start making a terrifying amount of sense. Take the speed of light. We're taught that nothing can travel faster than 186,000 miles per second. It's the absolute speed limit of reality. But nobody ever stops to ask, why? Why is there a limit at all? If space is just an empty vacuum, why can't an object just keep accelerating? In a purely physical universe, a hard speed limit is completely arbitrary. But in a simulated universe, it's mandatory. Because every computer processor has a maximum clock speed. If you try to process information faster than the hardware allows, the system lags. The speed of light isn't a physical barrier. It's the maximum refresh rate of the processor running our reality. And honestly, that should have raised alarms a long time ago. But it wasn't until scientists looked at the math itself that the real panic set in. Because if this is software, there should be code. And recently, someone found it. Dr. Sylvester James Gates is a theoretical physicist. He studies superstring theory, trying to understand the mathematical building blocks of reality. While working through some of the most complex equations ever written, he found something buried in the math. It wasn't a metaphor. It wasn't a coincidence. It was a specific string of ones and zeros. Block error-correcting codes. Specifically, Claude Shannon's error-correcting code. The exact same digital logic that software engineers use to keep web browsers from crashing. Let that sink in. The exact code that prevents your laptop from glitching out is holding the fabric of the universe together. It's written right into the physical laws of nature. If that sounds odd, it's because it is. Nature doesn't write software. Programmers do. So, let me summarize this for a second. There is a very real, mathematical possibility that we are basically NPCs living in a giant game of The Sims, running on a teenager's computer in a higher dimension. And out of billions of possible avatars, a rock star, a billionaire, a superhero, somehow, I ended up playing a character with chronic lower back pain who has to stare at Excel spreadsheets for 8 hours a day. Seriously, whoever is holding the controller for my life, please, just type in the infinite money cheat code right now. We are struggling down here. But that joke gets a lot less funny when you look at who is taking this theory seriously. If you pay attention to the news, you'll notice that some of the richest tech billionaires on the planet talk about the simulation hypothesis all the time. They talk about it on podcasts. They tweet about it. They act like it's a fun, philosophical debate. But behind closed doors, they aren't just debating. According to several reports, some of the most powerful people in Silicon Valley are secretly funding research teams. Their goal? To find a way to hack the code. They want to break out of the simulation. And that's where the story takes a very dark turn. Because while they are spending billions trying to escape the matrix, look at what they are building for the rest of us. Virtual reality, the metaverse, digital neural implants. They are desperately trying to build a simulation inside the simulation. Why? Because if they can't break out of this reality, they want to become the gods of the next one. They are building a digital prison, and they are trying to convince you to put the headset on willingly. Once you're plugged in, you're no longer an occupant of the base reality. You are trapped a layer deeper, and they hold the server keys. The tech elite want us asleep. They want us distracted, consuming their illusions, and completely disconnected from the true nature of our existence. But at Forbidden Origins, we don't put the headset on. We choose the red pill. We look at the code. So maybe the real question isn't whether we are living in a simulation. The real question is what you're going to do now that you know the walls are fake. I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you think we're living in a physical world? Or are we just artificial code running on a supercomputer? And if someone offered you the chance to unplug, would you take it? Let me know what you think. Hit that subscribe button and never stop questioning your reality.